And a hefty collision.
And if the flag didn't go up, I do think that Bernard would have been in some trouble.
Wow.
Because that was a late collision with Stephen Young. Here it is. That's a penalty if Stephen Young was onside. Thankfully for Waterhouse and Bernard, he was not.
Robinson away from Leacock, snaps back at him. Leacock flagged for the foul. Well, Liz, you have the difficult task of picking between or among Dallas, Leacock and Fletcher for your man of the match.
We have 6 minutes.
Header goal once. Didn't miss by much, you know. Didn't miss by much. And they sent him forward for just that, Stephen Young, to get on the end of one of those long passes from the back. He got there. Didn't miss by much.
Sunday's JPL match on CVM, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Do it for your best life.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is
12 p.m.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at noon for Monday, February 24, 2025. I'm Ramon Gordon. Thank you so much for joining us. Now to the headlines. The debate over Portmore becoming Jamaica's 15th parish sparked fresh protests Monday morning. Residents took to the streets with placards voicing their opposition to the government's plan. St. Catherine Southern MP Fitz Jackson joined the demonstration, pledging to stand with dissenters and keep political tribalism out of the next election.
They are not only denying the residents of Portmore of what they wanted, they also taking a backdoor walk to go around the EOJ and create their own political boundary to create a stronghold for themselves. We cannot allow the Jamaica Labour Party government to stifle, to kill and bury the electoral office of Jamaica. As children and descendants of slaves who fought for our freedom, we will not surrender to the theft of our democratic right in this instance.
To other news now, health advocates in partnership with the Portland Health Department are urging residents to prioritize regular checkups to stay informed about their health. Medical social worker Marion Patterson says too many Jamaicans overlook their health, which can lead to serious long-term consequences.
All right, so persons probably walking around, nothing is wrong with you, so you think that you're perfectly healthy. So when you come, you might do your cholesterol not knowing that your cholesterol is a little bit high or your blood sugar. So with this, they will be more aware of they'll be able to detect more critical illness that might be happening to them, non-communicable disease, such as your cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, all right? So with this, you can get the proper care as soon as possible. So because sometimes we don't know that it's happening, we tend to linger, and then when we find out it's kind of too late, but the earlier it's detected, it's better for us.
The health fair also featured skills training for residents through PAVE, a non-profit organization. Director of Operations Nasha Johnson says the program equips citizens with critical skills to respond effectively in emergencies.
Do vocational training for at-risk youths in the Port Antonio community. CPR, basic CPR, if they're ever faced with a situation, because Portland is right on the water and sometimes unfortunate incidents happen, and if they're faced with such incident, they are able to perform basic CPR procedure until health professionals arrive. Health is wealth, and it's important for persons to know their status, to know where they are, to know simple things like if your pressure is high. It's important for them to know healthy eating habits. It's important for them to know how to do at-home exercises. And for our young people, one of the main reasons why I wanted to organize this health fair was sexual health education for the youths that we cater to, and also, by extension, the other health factors that they should be aware of. So this is extremely important for everyone and, all.
Freedom of speech allows us to express our views, but false statements can damage reputations. Speaking on Sunrise, Jonathan Morgan, partner at Duncox Attorneys at Law, reminds that freedom of speech does not excuse libel.
Yes, it is a serious issue, the prevalence of this free speech culture that is now developing online. And social media is a space where people exercise those freedoms liberally. They think that...
Too liberally?
Oh, quite so. They think that there's no control and no remit in an online platform where they're not face-to-face with someone, and they think that what they say has no consequence. The law of defamation says otherwise. The law of defamation protects the business owners, it protects individuals, it protects public figures from information that could be said to be defamatory.
Yes.
So what does that mean? In simple terms, defamation occurs when someone makes a factual statement that is false, and it has the potential to lower the estimation of the business or the subject of that statement in the minds of right-thinking members of society.
Right.
So simply put, if you say something publicly and it causes people to think less of someone else, causes people to think badly of someone else, it could be defamatory. Right. What we're seeing is that a small business is being damaged by a statement made online, and if it is established that that public statement was not true, then the social media influencer will not be protected by those guards of free speech. There is a human right to be able to speak freely and to be able to share your opinion without recourse. But that human right is curtailed by some measures that are needed to protect society.
Despite concerns that reggae music is losing its mainstream appeal, experts insist the genre remains strong. Speaking on CVM's lead story, they said reggae continues to evolve, blending new influences while staying true to its roots.
The IFPI, which is the International Federation for Phonographic Industry, last year did a survey as to what are the top genres in the world globally. And reggae made it. So I don't know where anybody is heralding the demise of reggae, because it is still one of the most popular genres globally.
Reggae is very popular across the world, even sometimes when the movement is not being led by Jamaicans. Because I think sometimes we tend to conflate the popularity of this genre with the predominance of Jamaican exponents. And that might not necessarily be the case, because you have a number of artists across the world that are doing quite well, including Jamaican acts, that are doing very well across the globe. And they are people who might not, some of them, might not be classified as Jamaicans. And I think that is very important. So the music, the genre is doing well, even if artists from the sources of its origin are not doing as well as we would want them to.
Now to crime. A legal gun owner did the unthinkable at an event in Manchester on Sunday. Opening fire, he shot a mother, her 2 daughters, her grandson, and a friend. 2 people died on the spot, while the others are fighting for their lives in hospital. Nika Lewis has that story.
When the clock struck midnight Saturday, a wake erupted into chaos. The spark, a fender bender on Levy Lane, Mandeville, Manchester, just outside, that quickly turned into a crime scene. It's reported that a local telephone engineer of Levy Lane parked his car in an open lot next to his premises, separating his house from the house where the vigil was in progress. A motorist leaving the Candlelight allegedly hit his motor car, and the engineer came out of his house just in time to see the driver leaving. He and the driver later had an argument with other persons that were at the Candlelight who joined the argument, which later escalated into a physical confrontation.
My husband back up the car and him chew dark, him just back up and go in a bumper. It was creepy. You just bruise it. And nothing for fix.
Yeah.
You understand me? I said like a nothing for fix. So you say if I did want my husband come out of the car and I cry, literally cry like how you see me there, so I cry and go down all on his knee and take out his wallet, his papers, if he carry papers, he license, everything, and give the man and say, sir, please, I beg you do make we work it out. The man no want it, no talk.
However, it's understood the engineer fired several shots at who he described as his attackers, resulting in 5 persons, including a child, being shot. The injured were taken to the Mandeville Regional Hospital, but 35-year-old Aldine Dixon of Colleyville, Manchester, and 42-year-old Stacey Ann Musgrave of Barnstable District, also of Manchester, were pronounced dead on arrival. Carrie Ann lives with the pain, remembering that Stacey Ann wanted them both to attend the event.
Because a man just simple scrape your vehicle. They just scrape in a lick him or nothing. I back him back up and just barely scrape in vehicle because we couldn't even see where the scrape there. And that's your job, bullet, and shoot 4 people. Plus I be 5 persons for God, man almighty God. People can't wicked stuff, brother. People can't wicked stuff. And she stays here making news. I'm going to tell her 4-year-old and her 5-year-old baby say, they walk up and I add this man and I say, Auntie Carrie, and where mommy is. I couldn't answer them. I just break down in the tears. I couldn't answer them.
Among the injured, a grandmother, her daughter, and her 12-year-old grandson, now in serious condition. The shooter reportedly drove himself to the Mandeville police station, where his licensed firearm was taken from him by detectives. However, those who mourn want justice.
I can't reality this. I can't reality. Your mother in the hospital, a back for life. Our sister did a back for life, same way. Over what? What's the explanation for it? What can that man explain, say, why do that? You was a license firearm holder. You even leg was shot in the ear. You put it in a human being flesh? For what? Come on, man. Them not have weapon, them not have nothing.
Locals who spoke off camera say the shooter has long behaved in a way that showed he was an untouchable and not to be reasoned with, killing their pets and animals at random.
With that, we take a break. More right after this.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are made of Jamaica.
Get tiles and get creative with your floors, walls, and all the spaces in between. Our knowledgeable sales consultants are happy to help create your beautiful finish with the latest designs in first quality porcelain, wood look, vinyl, mosaics, natural stones, and countertops. At Creative, you will get every tile you need for your residential or commercial projects. Creative Building Finishes, your one-stop shop for everything tiles. Visit our showroom at 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get creative.
Welcome back. It's time for our discussion segment. The Caribbean Policy Research Institute, CAPRI, recently conducted a study examining the role of women in organized crime. The research also highlights a direct link between Jamaica's low incarceration rate and its persistently high homicide rate. To discuss the findings, we're joined by Dr. Diana Thorburn, Director of Research at CAPRI. Doc, again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Your research links Jamaica's low incarceration rate to its high homicide rate. Can you explain that connection for our audience and why it matters?
This came up in the context of this study because we were trying to see where we could find the data supporting the assertion and the proposition that there are more women involved in violent crime in Jamaica than before. And so, of course, we looked at the incarceration and the arrest data, and we were not able to see that there had been any increase in the incarceration of women over the past 20 years, and certainly not for violent crimes, nor for arrests. But when we thought about it a bit more, we thought to the fact also that Jamaica has one of the lowest incarceration rates in the Latin America Caribbean region. Only 2 countries have a low incarceration rate than us. That's Guatemala, which is almost the same as us, and Haiti, for obvious reasons. And at the same time as our incarceration rate has been steadily declining since 2011, our murder rate has either gone up or held steady, notwithstanding this very recent drop. And we also have research that shows that of the several different variables that are associated with the murder rate, incarceration is one of them. So this study that I'm referring to looked at the impact or the correlation of employment, education levels, income inequality, incarceration, and police efficacy, and how they correlated with the murder rate. And this particular study showed that of those 5 factors, the only 2 that could be said to be correlated with the murder rate were incarceration and police efficacy. So the socioeconomic factors that many of us think are the root causes of violence, in the Jamaican context, they are not empirically related to that. So poverty does not have an impact on violence. Employment levels don't have an impact on violence. Education levels don't have an impact on violence, but incarceration rate and police efficacy. And we can see that very clearly in the situation that we're in now. You know, the police have become more effective over the past 7 years with increased investments in the police force and the increased public support for the JCF that has been growing since 2017. And that is in large part can be seen to be one of the kind of causal factors that has brought down the murder rate by 19%.
Is the study suggesting that we ought to be locking up more people to reduce the crime rate, or are there, deeper structural issues at play?
It's unfortunate to frame it that way. I mean, it implies a judgment to it, a value to it of locking up people. If we're just looking at the data and what we see is correlated with a lower murder rate, it's more people being in prison, and that makes logical sense. The more people who are in prison are the fewer people who are out there committing murders. So yes, that's what it amounts to. It's just not a very nice way of putting it. Nice. It implies a value judgment. I mean, incarceration is a tool of the justice system in countries all around the world. It always has been. And in Jamaica, it is clear that the more people who are incarcerated are the fewer people who are committing murder, and our murder rates go down. It's just a fact. You can attach to it what value you wish.
Right. You mentioned some things earlier that influence crime locally, and the study that you're referencing says that Jamaican men are disproportionately affected by the homicide rate, by homicide regardless rather, particularly gang-related killings. Yes. What sort of policies should we be exploring to sort of reduce those numbers? Because like you said, men are involved in gang-related crimes and we know the reasons why. So how do we go after them and rescue them?
We have to change the conditions in which gangs are operating. We have to go after the communities. The gangs cannot exist without being in a safe haven or an environment that's conducive to their existence and to their sustained operations and activities. We had a statistic the other day that there are 800 primary violence producers in Jamaica, meaning that there's 800 people who are responsible for the killing, the actual killing, the shooting, which is a number that made sense to me considering what we know about gangs and their different roles in different gangs. And so I think, the number also makes you think, well, 800 people is not that many to remove from society, whether it's, locking them up or otherwise. But if we don't change the conditions in which gangs are coming up, then those 800 are going to be replaced very quickly. What we have to do is not just deal with the gangs. We have to do that. And it's essential that the police are equipped as they are and empowered and supported to do what they're doing, which is going after the gangs. But we